call the meeting to order. Would you all please stand and if so inclined, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we have several additions to the agenda, and most of them are listed on a separate sheet here. We've got an additional 5, but now we have an additional 6. And under that, would you please approval of van purchase? Beth will get more involved with that as we go on. So with those additions, I would like a motion to approve the agenda with amendment.
I'll make a motion.
Kurt? A second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Katie. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Scheduled presenters, we have none. School board committee reports. Usually we would deal with this on that September 11th meeting, but is everybody going to be in attendance at September 11th? That's the meeting where I asked to have a second one in September because I thought it's always good during the opening of the school year. I know it kind of puts a burden on administration. They've got more things to do than add a meeting, but I know for sure I won't be there. I know for sure Jerry won't be there. I don't know the depth of our meeting or if we've got any agenda issues, so that optional meeting I threw on, I cannot now attend, and neither can Jerry. Should we just go ahead with it? Should we say we haven't had them in the past, so let's skip it? What's your thoughts?
Before, we'd have to make sure that someone else that all 4 can be there.
Yep.
Is that a tough commitment? I mean, if it's going to be that way.
I can be there.
I should be there, but unless there are issues that we need to deal with, maybe we don't need to.
As of right now, you have nothing listed for the September 11th, but look what happened just from Wednesday. You know, it's that time of year, and that is why you added a date on, but I don't foresee anything, but I didn't think anything would be added after Wednesday either. Busy time of year.
So you got any thoughts, pro and con?
Either or for me.
I'm fine with either or.
Rob?
Doesn't matter. I can make it.
You know,
Brenda, you would share it.
you foresee.
You would share it, so.
I would share.
You're the clerk.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe we should just leave it scheduled, and then if there's really no need to meet, you could cancel the meeting, maybe? I don't know.
We have to
Or
do 3
we have
days
to do that
notice, but we
publicly,
could do
though,
that,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just leave it out there, and at that time.
If things start filling in, I would just soon have it if, if things start coming in.
Okay.
I can make it.
So we'll dispense with reports. It isn't our meeting for reports as well. Public input. Does anyone have anything for the cause of the district at this point in time? Moving on. Consideration to approve the finance report. Mr. Davison?
Page 4 on your agenda, and looking through it now, I see that when I transfer this over to the PDF to submit with the agenda, some of the formulas didn't cross, so you'll see some of the numbers are blank. I apologize for that. It's just a matter of the formula from Excel not transferring over when I cut and paste it to the PDF. So what I'll do is I'll correct that and send it back out to you as a board attachment, just so you guys
Josh,
have a copy of that.
I don't see the blanks. Which one
So
are you
it's payroll
referencing?
30, payroll taxes 30, PRA, TRA. Those are all based on formula, so there's zero.
They have
in
like a
there.
little slash in it.
Oh, I thought they were normally blank anyhow.
Yeah, I usually.
The revenues have to be because they're expenditures, but both sides, revenue and expenditures are blank on those. So
Okay.
it's just a formula thing. I'll correct it. The main thing to know is that we're cash flow positive throughout, not only where this report ends in November, but all the way through the fiscal year, and no need to do any aid anticipation borrowing. On top, you'll see the merchant's checking account. We closed out the TD Ameritrade accounts for the building project and moved those funds into general fund. to offset and pay for any projects. It's kind of a busy time in our office now. We start preparing for audit. They'll come in October. So there's not really fine, definite information other than the basic kind of cash flow analysis to give you. But this is what we have for right now. Like I said, I apologize for the error in the calculation, but I'll correct that and send it out to you guys in an email just so you can see what's going on. It'll just be more for information than anything else. And I'll make sure that Lori gets the correct copy too to put in the minutes. If there are any questions, I can do my best to answer.
You're gonna send it out to the group maybe
I'll send it out to the
tomorrow?
group.
Okay, that'd be great, thanks.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
Jerry's on the motion. Second,
I'll second.
Rob? He was close. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. In the event any board member wants to discuss an item, it can be removed for consent for separate action.
You take a moment to look under personnel. Samantha Pearson is listed as a hire. Please remove her from your list. Everything else is correct. I believe she called today and turned down the position.
Would any of these items belong on the consent agenda?
They would not. I tried, because that would be an easier place to put them. Administration, and because of breaking of the contract, I feel better about having a vote on it. Thanks, Rob.
What is extracurricular support mean?
That means that when they, under Sharon, it would be an EA, say they needed an EA with them at football practice, was part of their contract, or something like that. That would be one example. It is a little different rate of pay, isn't it, Sharon?
It's a base pair pay.
Base pair pay, a little bit less.
Well, I was gonna say, can we make comments or do we need a motion first?
No, I think you mean comments.
Or I'd just like to say thanks to all for all the donations to the tennis court project. And I know there are a couple more out there that are not listed here. So I think that we really, the community has really stepped up and helped out with that. The courts look fantastic and the team's been practicing.
What's the progress on the monies? Do you know?
I think Johnson probably has the best idea.
Getting close. We got commitment from a couple that haven't been received yet, but we're in the ballpark of, I know that Coach Northside has some funds that haven't made it to the draft yet, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly where they're at, but about 10 grand short, based on an estimate of 75 grand. Now they're finished up, so we should be seeing an actual final bill coming in. The 75 would be on the high end. I think the bid was about 69, 70, and then contingent. There's always usually be something that pops up. So that would reduce that.
The
as well.
gentleman that was out there made it sound like they were gonna be under, but
Yep,
we haven't seen the final bill, so.
Yep. So again, when I get that too, I can send it out as an email to you guys, just have a ballpark of where we're at. But not knowing the funds that haven't come in yet, I couldn't give you an exact number, but 10,000 or less ballpark.
Just in general, how about, I got two of them, I guess one is 49518.
We're not there yet.
Or not there, I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
are.
Oh,
That's on the
sorry.
consent, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Monthly bill.
Sorry.
Yep.
That was the next.
That was 49518 pound ground.
Yeah.
Yep, so they did some work over at the elementary soccer fields. The areas in front of each of the goals were all chewed up, so there was some residing in front of each of the 4 goals.
Okay, and then how about 49506?
Worthington Drive, that's for some furniture.
Okay.
Tables,
Gotcha.
chairs, that's we like.
Is that the one that Granite Falls?
Yeah.
Is that Granite Falls?
Yep.
How about 49530?
Randolph, athletic trainer supplies. What we've kind of done in the past is Randolph buys all the athletic trainer supplies and they bill us the portion that we take.
And Josh, was the common grounds lawn and landscape, was that above and beyond what was done for irrigation, or is that part of the irrigation process?
That's above and beyond, that's separate from
Yeah.
irrigation. And the stuff that came back to do over irrigation lines was within the original bid. They came back and everything kind of separately go back to the top of it. So this was separate from that.
What number was that again? I'm sorry.
49518.
Is that based on just usage and overusage?
The goalie areas, yeah, they get pretty chewed up after a season, and then I think that they're doing a better job this year during practices, not putting goalies in front of the goals all the time to help kind of save some of that. But yeah, they just get chewed up from player walking back and forth over there over the course of the season.
Did they do other stuff out there too? Is this just right in the goal, Josh? This was just for sod and dirt, or what was that?
It's mainly the goals. He also had them do some sprinkler repair work in the back in the high school fields.
Okay.
I found that some of the sprinklers were rotated incorrectly or misaligned, so we're watering, track and bag lime instead of grass. Some of the heads were broke, so they got those aimed and corrected.
Those weren't the new ones. We shouldn't be.
No, that's
paying
old
for
high school fields. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Brenda on the motion,
I'll second.
Jerry on the second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Old business, update Beth Geese trap shooting participation fee.
Okay, this one will be with Jake and I, but I am going to 100% take what I thought was a good deed, and I did mess up. The trap shooting coaches came to us after that last meeting, and I think a couple of you were onto it, and because you had said, are you sure? Are you sure? And I said, yep, we talked to them. The misunderstanding is that they do not want to be paid. Absolutely do not want to be paid. And with the way the ammunition runs and all of that stuff, that's why trap shooting is always a separate thing. You can't charge $125 and then have the people buy the ammunition as well. Jake, I think, can attest to it. After speaking with the coaches, I was trying to do a great thing. They shouldn't be spending more or not hitting the family cap. That didn't seem right or didn't seem fair, and I always want to have every opportunity for kids to participate. And so a good thing that I was trying to bring it down to $125 so that it was equal and comparable to all the other sports was in truth not going to work, because we've got coaches that absolutely do not want to be paid because they want to keep the cost as low as they can, and the price of ammunition is just simply high, and that's not something we can take on. So Jake did a nice job of covering for me and fixing it all, and we're just going to leave trap where it's at. Our numbers are crazy high. Even in fall league right now, we're starting that off, and that isn't the regular season. That's just something extra that kids can do. Even if they're in a fall sport, they can be in both. And it works out really well. You pay it through the Minnesota High School League trap shooting organization. It is just okay for some things to be a separate entity. And so I just wanted to give you an update that even though I told you we were going to be bringing that down to $125, it is better to leave a good thing alone and not have to worry about that. So
Clarification, but where's it at right now? What do they have to do to participate in the trap?
it's very, very easy. They go on, a link is sent out if they show any interest. If they go into Jake's office, a link is sent to them from that organization. They log in from there. They still have to have their physical and everything that we require for our athletes or participants to have. So it's done all online, and then they go on Sundays and shoot down in Wanamingo. So sometimes a good thing isn't always so good.
So there's no cost from the district to the participants?
No.
The only cost is their ammo and whatever MSHP,
And anything might be short, they get a T-shirt and things like that. That can be done through their fundraising that you would have to approve. Again, everything has to come through you guys. It's just what I was going to attempt to do was going to cost the district far too much, and all the athletes and coaches realize that.
So no action needed, information
No action
only?
needed. I'm just letting you know that everything's staying as it always has been. So.
I mean, we did lower it, we don't need to undo that? Okay.
No, because we never changed it.
Okay, under new business, consideration to establish truth and taxation dates for 18.
Okay, I'm putting the document up on the screen. My recommendation to you would be to do December 18th. As of right now, it doesn't conflict with any music concerts or anything like that. You guys like to do one truth and taxation meeting in December. Has been our past. With Christmas, it just doesn't make any sense. By using that third Monday of the month, I think that would be your best bet. So this is just the document saying that we need to do this. We need to set a date so that Lori can send it in. My recommendation would be December 18th.
A year and a half in advance.
This December 18th.
For next fiscal
year.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, fiscal year 18. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
And the 18th is already scheduled normal meeting this year, right?
It is. Lori says yes. Yes. Probably why she told me to recommend the 18th.
So, I'll make a motion to establish the truth and taxation date for December 18th.
Motion by Kurt,
I'll second.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the resolution establishing combined polling place as required by statute.
Okay, again, it's on the screen. Not much to this. It is statute. We have to have a combined location. So my recommendation would be to move forward with this.
We don't have any election this year, right?
Lori,
No,
can
but we do have to do this in order to do the combined precinct. It was part of the legislative.
yeah, it's a statute.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by
I agree
Jerry,
with you, Rob.
I'll second.
seconded by Katie. Other discussion?
Do we need to roll up just the resolution?
It's a resolution.
No other discussion, Rob?
You can do that top section.
Okay, voting on the resolution establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts and designating hours during which the polling places will remain open for voting for school district elections not held on the day of a statewide election. Kurt,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Brenda, yes. Katie,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
And just for the record, so that Mr. Hegarty has it, it'll be the Cannon Community Center, 120 State Street West.
Okay, that passes by a 6-0 vote. And the CCC, 120 West State, is that what you said? Okay, consideration to approve the 17-18 restrictive procedures plan.
Okay, this comes to us from Goodhue County Ed District. Every district within the co-op will be doing this. As you look through the document, in the past you've requested everything to be kind of lined through if there's any changes. So something as simple as the date has a line through it. Any changes that have occurred have been in here. This is a policy that we have to have on file. Our administrators in the room, Sharon, and all your key players, especially involved in special education, have been trained in these restrictions. So as you go through, you'll see anything that's been changed. It's nothing in the content, but mostly dates and such.
Yeah, that's
But we do have to do it every year, even though nothing's changed. It's just important that you understand that we're doing that.
When you're ready, I'd look for a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Katie on the motion, Brenda on the second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the restrictive procedures plan for 17-18, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the asphalt crack ceiling proposal for the elementary school.
Okay, even though this is part of the overall facility budget that you've already approved, anytime something comes in over $5,000, it is our practice to bring it to you, just so you really have a good handle on what's going on. This also was a part of the 5-year plan. If you remember when I presented, it was $75,000 for resurfacing as such. This area we consider to be one of the worst ones. It's where the gym teachers at the elementary, it's that flat area up on top with the, what do you want to call them, games? Jennifer, what's that called?
The ground games.
Yeah, the PE teachers use it. So Dave did go out and get this bid. He is not here tonight, but if you have any questions on it, I can certainly, help with that.
Are we deciding between these, or this is all
Nope,
combined?
this is the proposal.
Okay,
So,
so it's three different parts, different processes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just says that's the only thing
Basketball
that's
ground,
happening
names of
now.
basketball
Yeah.
court, Green Elementary School basketball court.
It's
Roger.
just itemized.
It's the crack
Yeah.
ceiling.
It's just breaking it down, but the total cost is 99.
Yeah.
Rob?
so this is a part of the 75,000 for the parking lots that we approved the budget for.
Well, the 5-year plan said resurfacing. I can bring up the, you have it right there.
I do.
There you go. I think it says.
Parking lot
resurface.
resurfaces. That's what, because we're not touching right behind the school then. This
We
is-
are not, because that would need to be ground up. That's pretty rough in there. The top surface is used for a classroom, and that one is pretty dangerous right now for the kids to be on.
That's all with the basketball nets and stuff
Yep.
up there, right?
Up on the top with the 4 square and the striping up there. If you don't want to do the resurfacing, we can do just the restriping. That can be done. Jennifer stepped in if I am misspeaking for the elementary right now, but the striping needs to be done no matter what. The idea behind $4,500 for restriping, we thought, well, gosh, would it be better to do the resurfacing under it so you get a better bang?
Yeah.
But we thought that's under 5,000, then we don't bring it to you to discuss. So I just thought this was a better way to go. It is part of the overall budget again. It is part of the 5-year plan. It meets everything that you've already approved. I really like you to know, so when you see trucks back there, you kind of know what's going on.
What are the trucks out in the big parking lot? Are those for the school?
I think they're changing the
Right,
light
part of
posts.
the Highway 19.
Oh, is that part of it? Okay. I'm
Okay,
looking
they
over.
had a lift here the other day doing the
Okay.
lights too.
So again, I'm sorry, go ahead. Whatever we approved before for 75K, this is part of that total?
It is, we had talked about waiting on any of the big projects until the tennis courts were done, just to be sure that fundraising occurred and all those things. Had we not done the tennis courts, I think we would have moved on all of it sooner and had the resurfacing done all the way around. But I think this has been a good way to do it, to make sure we've got our funds in line. Tennis courts, we can always finish it later, at a later time, do some of the parking lots. The big one that the rest that's left from the 7,500, I know that he wants to do the student parking lot. That's got some significant cracks in it. and
That's
such.
what I was going to ask. I know there was a delay because of the moving some of the funds to the
Right.
tennis courts, but is there a schedule in mind for because I know that behind the elementary school,
Yeah, the
riding my
playground
bike around there,
area.
that
yeah.
playground is pretty bad back there.
It is. I think the reason why, when we talked at our facilities meeting and at the admin meeting, that surface is used for actual classroom use versus the playground just kind of being a run and a running.
But when do they plan to do the playground then? I don't know.
Dave's not here. I don't dare say without him being here. Do you remember
But
what we talked about the facility?
I was thinking not until next spring.
I think it is too.
Oh, really? Not
Yeah.
not this fall, but next spring.
And I know we've talked in the past about bang for the buck and doing bigger projects. This one, I went back there and looked at it today, seems fairly small considering all the parking lots. And I see on the budget, you've got all that's actually for next year, fiscal year
At
20.
20,000?
No, the 75,000 is for fiscal year 2018. You got a compressor this year for 20,000, but there's no resurfacing.
We are in fiscal year 18 right now.
Okay, because we went over July.
July.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we click over, it's hard when it's not January.
So then the 45 from last fiscal year was, that was from
Tennis courts and
Mosquito,
courts, yeah.
that we'd set aside, and we still had 75,000 set aside for the resurfacing, but we took some of that into the tennis courts, and now we're fundraising to replenish that.
That's a great way to
Right.
explain it.
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
yep,
See
exactly.
see where things come in. That's a great summary.
And this piece would be completely separate than the parking lot piece, if that makes any sense. It's still all the same money, but to keep the cost down in the parking lot piece, he didn't wanna cut out $20,000 of that and do the parking lot piece this year, because he gets better bang for the buck if he comes back and does it all at one time. That's why he wants to wait till the spring, wanted to see where the fundraise money was coming. This is a little bit separate piece than the rest of the parking lot repair.
The other piece that he explained that really kind of hit me and made sense to me, you never want to do all your parking lots the same exact year, because then they come due again all at the same time. And that made a ton of sense to me. So we'll be coming back with that fiscal 18 when facilities, we need to peg all that out. I just don't feel comfortable saying the schedule tonight because I don't remember or know for sure.
Okay.
So when we look at ACS, the company we're looking at now, did they come through, we never did a full bid process for $75,000 for the parking lot in general, and this is, so.
We will when it gets to the bigger amount.
Have we tried anybody local for this? There's a couple of people in town that do this as well. Did we ever get a bid from them at all? Seems like what I'm looking at, it seems like a pretty simple project where these guys do it all the time, and they've done it in I think the Fairway Foods or
Sure.
Family Fair Foods and stuff. I just don't know if there's what type of comparison we're looking at, keeping
I
it in
don't
town.
remember if Dave,
you know.
I know he was kind of struggling to find someone that wanted to do such a small job, because it kind of seemed kind of
Yeah.
It's
small.
expensive for small. I know a lot of it's the strike.
Well, a lot of it's the
striping, and they
striping.
do the striping.
That's more
Yeah.
of a specialized thing, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was kind of in favor of just resurfacing it, let kids just play on it, and it really is a classroom, it needs to be.
Come to the days of chalk.
Yeah, right.
Huh?
But
So,
we do have people in town that do angular parking, striping and stuff, which essentially would be the same.
they bring in a stencil, they made it sound
they-
quite complicated.
They create stencils
Mhm.
specifically.
And they
for
don't
this
let you
space.
keep the stencil,
Do
you
you-
can't use it from time to time.
Do you need to have the striping?
That was how this all started.
Because
Yeah.
we need striping?
We need
Well,
striping more
they
than we
needed
need.
they needed the lines repainted, and then when they looked at it, they were like, if you're gonna repaint the lines, you should just go ahead and do the surface anyway, because it needs to be done. So,
I would agree with that.
Well, what's your pleasure?
I do know that we went to SEC and asked for this because they're our overall bidding people,
Mhm.
and they didn't have anyone in the area interested in looking at it. But whether it's, they reach out to specific locals, I don't know, and I wouldn't think so.
So how big is the striping area? Like, it's like a basketball court,
Oh, it's a couple of those. Yeah.
a couple of those, and then it's four square.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's got lines for different games.
Because back in Iowa, we did it once where we actually had families come out and we did the painting ourselves, repainting.
Oh.
We brought that up.
Yeah, and it worked out really well. But I don't know,
I guess I would like to know what the striping is for. Is it just for outlining your free throw shots, that sort of thing? Is that for,
There's PE games that they use it for, and
here's my question.
Yeah.
Is it necessary? Are we saying it has to be, this is elementary? Is it something where they could use cones or, I'm looking at striping for $5,000. It seems like a lot for elementary, for what they're gonna do with it. I could be wrong, but it seems expensive for what they're gonna be using it for. I guess I'd like to know what they're using it for. What are the lines gonna outline? What are they gonna signify?
Jen, could you bring in PE teachers to come talk to us about that?
Yeah, I sat in
That
on a
would be good.
meeting with the PE teachers and Derek in the beginning of August, maybe, I can't remember, and they rambled off all sorts of different things that, they wanted to make sure was redone, and they listed a number of things that the games that were used, the activities that were used, and how it's so much more helpful in their planning and prep. It's FIAD every single day, and for how often it's being used and the setup and takedown, my husband's a FIAD teacher, I think that would become a little bit tough. Foursquare, hopscotch, whatever else is out there, I don't know the different things.
From that meeting, would you feel comfortable if they did the resurfacing and waited maybe until spring for the restriping until we can hear them come in? Do you think that would be better or worse?
Well,
Kind of silly to have a resurfaced area with no lines?
Or
You'd like
Yes.
to paint afterwards.
what if we do it all next year?
I think this is something we budgeted for, so I don't see why, we need to question it. I think we should just go ahead
I
and,
mean, I'm looking at the pictures I took today, and the striping looks actually pretty good.
yeah.
I thought it would be worse, but it's pretty bright. But I'm wondering if 10,000 for this small area, would it make more sense to do it all in the spring, restripe and resurface, and do a bigger job for maybe a lower per square foot price?
Or could they put the pad down and by the time they get here and tear up the old and put new down, we'd probably have a meeting in between them before the striping. School started, but that's it.
We might not even get the same
You would be
price if we
asking to
split
do
it up,
it.
though, because it's one company
want-
coming
I'm
out
not
doing
playing
the
on it.
job. I mean, we'd probably have to get different prices then.
Touching buttons.
Oh, that's what you said.
I'm just wondering if we could also get some, I'm wondering about bids from local, if they'd be willing to do it. I'd just like to keep the business in town if we can too, and if it's a project that can be done by locals, then I kind of like to favor that. But the painting gets to that point where it's like, can you do it? I don't know. I just like to keep it local, so.
I understand the local thing, but I also understand we budgeted for it, and I think we should move forward with it. I agree with Brenda.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna kind of push back on that. I understand we budget for things, but if we can do it cheaper, I think that's our responsibility too. And we have only got one bid here. So if we can look at someone local, can do it cheaper, if they can do the job just as well, I'd like to see that, but that's me.
It seems expensive for a small job. I mean, looking at the square footage versus everything else that's gonna be out there, I don't know if that 75,000 is gonna cover everything else, or in this case, 65,000. Because we're gonna bring 10 out now. Plus, we gotta rip up what's behind the school next year.
I'll make sure to use at the next meeting too.
Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of surface.
If we waited on this,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna throw this out there because I hate the word table. That's what it's funny. When's MEA weekend?
October 20th, that's the Friday, so 1920.
Well, anyone can make a motion, pro or con on this, and we can proceed accordingly.
I'd like to make a motion to table this to get more information on options.
And for clarification, I wrote down more bids. For anything else you want?
Rob, on the table.
I think it would be good to hear from some of the finance teachers
Yeah.
and just see what kind of
And if Dave were here, you could explain the reason why there's only one bid, but
right,
we don't know.
right.
The reasoning.
That's
Or maybe
I
he
do
had
have somebody
more.
else.
Maybe he
Right.
had more bids
Right,
and
we
this
did.
is just the one he
Yep.
gave to
Right.
you.
If this makes sense to us, do we have or they have the time to get this done this season?
Well, if we have that meeting September 11th and approved it, then would they have time? That's what we need to find out.
I don't know how asphalt works.
Well, it says,
Asphalt doesn't shut down until the first week of November.
That'd be good.
and it just says 24 hours that they have to stay off of it.
And this isn't really asphalt, this is tarring on top. Do they shut down that early? It's just heating up the tar and filling the cracks.
The asphalt plants, the ones that are typically shut down before Thanksgiving. The ones that have anything left are done by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility maybe to use
Yeah,
that
if there's a window in
within October.
Looking at a
Let's get a
month.
second on this so then we can continue our discussion. Rob made a motion to table it. Is there a second to that table?
I'll second.
Okay, now let's talk again. There's a motion and a second on the floor.
And options is, I guess, from, I don't know if we're dictating terms, I guess I'm looking at price-wise, what would the contractors who would be a better, more effective way to redo the surfaces? If they think throwing more into it would make it a better cost per square foot. I mean, we've got so much money to spend, I know it's budgeted, but I think what I heard you say was, let's look at the most effective, cost-effective way to do it. If throwing the back of the playground or the back of the school in there makes it cheaper, and we're still in our budget, do we do that? Because I know they'll plan it, but you took some pictures that we got some potholes back there.
You know, he did say that the playground itself will be the most expensive of all the areas. It's in the worst shape, but it's not, it's kind of like this, so it drains, but it's not
Yeah.
very well done,
Doesn't
so.
look bad.
When we were at that meeting, it sounded like that would be like, not something they were overly worried about because traffic's not on there and things like that.
Yeah, think
I will
that's-
get more bids for asphalt and hear from the PE teachers.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on tabling this? All in favor of tabling, say aye. Opposed? Aye. We will table it by a 4-2 with Bob and Brenda dissenting. Number 5, consideration to approve the mentor program and stipend for 17-18.
Okay, we are starting the third year with Amy Dombeck and Lori Turner running our mentor program. If you remember correctly, Kay did this for many, many years. I think they do a nice job of outlining what it is. They have not come to the full expense of the $5,000 that's laid out for the program, but that does cover the 2 costs of the 2 coordinators. Today they had all the new teachers in, did a fabulous job training them. The mentor teachers do get paid a stipend of $300 each to work with those teachers. It also covers substitute pay for the mentor and mentee when they're observing each other teach, which is an integral part of this program. And it does cover some incidental expenses that might come up with a teacher, like the new teacher workshop materials and things like that. So with that said, it is my recommendation to continue with this amazing program. If you're wondering where the stipend comes from, I'll remind you again, like I do every year, it comes out of staff development.
Yeah, I think the mentor program is really a great program, really helps new teachers. I would definitely make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Brenda to approve the mentor program for the
I'll
upcoming
second.
year. Seconded by Katie. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the annual designation of the Soup of Cannon Falls, Iowa,
Which is
identified official with authority.
Right. Basically, what this allows me to do is go into the MD website, anyone that needs permissions into different categories, all the grants that we write, things like that, you're giving me permission to do those things. So it's very simple, yearly thing you have to do.
I'll make a motion.
Jerry on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Consideration to accept the resignation.
The first one you'll hear from tonight is Rachel Skunas. Her husband is a minister, and he accepted a position over by Green Bay, I believe. And so I just want to say what an integral part of our staff development program she's been, just been a true leader since the day she started in our building. So it is a loss for Cannon Falls, but even though it's a late resignation, I hope that you honor her letter of wanting to do that because she's moving out of state. There's no way she can drive here every day.
I'll make a motion for resignation, but we will miss her.
Mm-hmm.
Motion by Katie, second,
I'll second.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a 1.0 FTE elementary position.
Turn that over to Jennifer. Were you in on those interviews?
Yes, okay, Michelle Braun is the candidate that we selected, and I can't remember exactly where she comes from, but she seems like a ball of energy, and we're really excited to be able to get to see her kind of in some action this morning in the mentoring new teacher workshop meeting, so excited to have her aboard.
She's been in some private schools in Hastings.
And a show choir.
Yes.
dancer.
Mm-hmm.
How many applicants would we have gotten? A bunch? Not so much?
16? Was it 16? I can't remember.
Fair amount.
And we were just over 10, I think.
Mhm.
Yep.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Brenda to approve the hire,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to post and hire a 1.0 FTE special ed teacher.
This one I want to hand out a sheet that gives you some numbers. One can go to Ken back there too. I know this is going to come to a little bit of a surprise. I'm coming to you this late needing a special ed teacher. Sharon actually came to me in May trying to be very organized. She kind of was trying to foresee the future. I was trying to watch budget. We have kids moving in, moving out. We are at our basically at our cap for special education. Anything when you go over that cap, what happens then is your cross-subsidy numbers don't match. And as you well know, that is just an area that is very difficult to get under control. Lori has even signed me up for a MAYOP group that is a task force working with the legislatures on this, because we just are in a situation that we're not getting the money back that we should get back. On a normal special education teacher, you get 65% of it reimbursed. You just need the more funding to support these kids. With the document that I've handed out to you, at the beginning of last year, we were at 118 kids. Starting out this year, we're at 143. That's 25 kids just from the start of last year. 12 more kids just since we ended the year. And this is today's document from Sharon on the kids that have enrolled. If you come to our back to school event tomorrow with all the teachers, you will see that we will have now 2 service dogs in our buildings. We have kids with seizures. We've got some real high needs kids coming in, and we're excited to have them, and we want to welcome them with open arms. We can't overwhelm our current special ed staff, and they really are going to be feeling the pinch. You do a nice job of approving that document, which we'll go over again on Thursday night, as far as where you want class sizes to be, where you want caseloads to be, and all of those things. With that said, with these numbers in place, I would like to move forward with a post and a hire of a special education teacher. How I would like to do that is going to be a couple different options. We're going to open it up. I did get this ready to go for today. It'll be opened up to the staff. If there's someone on regular ed staff that wants to move into this position, or a current special ed person that wants to move around, we will allow them to do that. Our second option will be, and this is something that Sharon deserves every ounce of credit for, she is working with a current student teacher. Okay, the MDE is really getting that there's a shortage in special education teachers. This person has already student taught in another district, coming to us doing a second round of student teaching. In that second round, you can be supervised and have a caseload at the same time. Those details have not fully been worked out, and we have to apply for a lot of things with MDE. But if we don't find anyone internally, that is the option that I'll be most likely moving forward with. I don't have a name for you tonight, and I don't have anyone for you to approve tonight, but I would like the permission to move ahead because this is a new budget item. I'm not taking someone's resignation and rehiring. This is a new item. This position may or may not be here next year. We don't know. We don't know if this teacher may or may not be here. It'll depend on those case loads and where they're at. So I hate to increase our budget at this point, but with this many kids moving in and high needs on top of that, I just don't have a choice.
25 is kind of a relative number for us.
Sure.
What would be a typical caseload?
So it depends on the disability area, but if you're looking at like a learning disabilities teacher or EBD teacher in the high school, it would be about 17, 18 kids. Students that have more high needs, then you're talking like 12, 13 on a caseload.
And we're teetering to 20 with most of them.
Right. So we're at 22 right now.
Without this.
Wow.
And we've hired additional paras. You saw that when you were going through your personnel adding. I believe you ended up hiring 4 total.
They were replacements. They weren't.
That's
those
right.
weren't additional.
So just something to think about. We've got some good options on the table. A student teacher will be able to pay at a subbing rate. So there'll be some cost savings there possibly. All those things we don't know. We haven't brought this to the EA yet. You know, is it the horse? Is it the cart? Is it the cart? Is it the horse? I mean, which way do we go here? So hopefully maybe there'll be an internal candidate that'll be interested. We just don't know. That's as of today. Am I saying everything correctly, Sharon? Okay.
But you would need a special ed license for the position?
No, you can do variances with the state. This would be a very unique situation. I did call MD. They're allowing people to do it because we're in such a crisis need for special ed teachers. They also would not allow it had she never student taught before. I mean, she's already done that. This is just, to get that second license, you need to do a second.
But if someone on staff were to apply, would they need to have that?
If someone on staff was to apply, they would have trump that situation. They would be able to do that and get a variance.
They would get a variance too.
They'd have to, one of the principals would have to apply for that.
So this is what we talk about when we talk about cross subsidies.
Well, it's just because you don't ever want to go over your ceiling. The money, we'll have to look at some things like ATSIS next year and just make sure that our ceiling is where we want it to be. Later in the agenda, you'll be looking at a special ed van. Because of all these new enrollees, we also need a van. Now, that is something you had budgeted for. That transportation department we met, we had talked about, I had tried pulling a van out, and they said, no, we need the van. Well, sure enough, now we need the van. So that at least you had budgeted for. This 1.0 special ed teacher is just, but later on, you're going to see some administrative changes. I've moved some things around. I think we can make this work.
But if we have 25 more students, we'd be getting more income for those students to cover the position, even though it's not budgeted for.
That is true. Most of those students would cost far more than that to educate, but
Would that cover the additional budget
True.
for hiring?
True.
Possibly.
That's good. Positive way of looking at it.
Are our numbers up then?
What's that?
Are our gross numbers up then for?
Special ed numbers are very up.
What gross number?
I've got that for you tonight too. You're about even. Yeah, what do you?
Some of those were students who were here last year and were identified at
That's
the
true.
end of the year, so they aren't necessarily, some of them are move-in students, but not all of them are brand new to the district.
Okay.
And we won't get any special funding for that.
We won't. We'll get the reimbursement of
Yeah.
$6,500 because again, we haven't hit that ceiling, but we're going to hit it. I mean, there's no way around it.
So we're basically just approving posting and hiring a position tonight, and then you'll
I'll send it out
move forward.
and hopefully have an answer by Friday. To be honest, we need to have someone in place by next Tuesday.
And if that doesn't happen, do you post externally then and fill when possible?
Yes. If it doesn't happen by Friday, everyone will take a few more kids on their caseloads until we get someone in.
Hmm.
To ask.
It is.
Caseloads are packed right now.
Mhm.
I would make a motion to post and hire this
I'll second.
position.
Motion by Katie, seconded by Brenda to post and hire for a 1.0 special ed. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve a preschool coordinator stipend of $4,000.
Pass that to you.
Jake?
So we've always had a preschool coordinator. It's usually been a .5 position, either shared with our Canada Kids coordinator or a half-time preschool teacher, and then in the afternoons they coordinate preschool. In the last few years, Molly and I in our office have taken on a lot of those duties, so we think we can get by with a little bit smaller of a position, save some money. But you do need a licensed person to do it, to do a couple of the reports and to oversee the preschool program. So our proposal here is to have about 5 hours per week, this position for that stipend, and we have someone who's willing to do it, and we'd like to proceed with this route here for us this year.
This is quite a savings for your department, so it's a great solution. I'm very appreciative that you, and you might as well mention it, that it's Sharon has taken this on.
Sharon has
She's very
flexibility in
good.
her personal schedule where she's willing to take it
She's
on.
got
She's
two
got the
kids,
license that
two
we
kids in
need.
college. She's got some free time now,
Yeah.
so.
And Molly has taken on a lot of duties in the last few years, so a lot of stuff is falling on her lap too. So she deserves a lot of credit for it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Kurt to approve. Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Rob? On the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Item 11. Yeah, give me your 11.
Yep, you bet. You have to share it.
Consideration to approve a resignation. Derek Bell.
None of us really thought that it would happen on August 25th, but it did. This is an opportunity for his family, 3 very young kids, to be a lot closer to home. I just wish him the best of luck, and we do appreciate the 5 years that he was here. And So it would be my recommendation, although I don't like the timeline. I think it's not the best thing for, been a little crazy around here the last couple of days. But my recommendation is to accept this resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Motion by Jerry to accept the resignation. Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Kurt. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve Jen Chappie as elementary principal.
All right, if you look in the principal's contract, I do have the right to assign. I first tried to assign Tim to the elementary. He did not like it. I'm kidding. But it was probably one of the easiest decisions I've ever made in my career, and that is to offer Jennifer Chappie the elementary principal position. I think on top of me thinking it's a good idea, I can't get over the number of texts and emails I have gotten from the staff and how excited they are to have her as their new leader. She really has gained tremendous respect, and that's hard sometimes to always kind of be the underdog, kind of the person in the back scenes and everything. And she's just done an outstanding job of really building a lot of rapport with our staff, which is a great way to make people inspired to teach. And so it would be my recommendation to use the contract, and I would like to appoint Jennifer Chappie as elementary principal.
And the kids love her.
They do.
Well, that's fine. I'll make a motion to accept Jennifer Chappie as elementary principal.
Motion by Rob,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. Other discussion?
Sounds like a great solution.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Just
thank
a-
you.
It's a
Good luck.
perfect fit for us.
I still think Tim could have answered a little better.
You bet. Okay, all in favor of Jen Chappie hiring as elementary principal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration to replace assistant principal with a TOSA position.
Okay, I'm going to hand this out to you now. This is what I would like to post for this position. I am very fortunate, I'm very fortunate that Tim, Jennifer, and I are all on the same page. We know that we need someone to do basically the district curriculum chair. We need someone to be the district assessment coordinator, and that's all in this letter. We need someone to run targeted services. We need someone to do bus discipline, and we need someone to be our 504 coordinator. Those 5 things, no matter how hard we try to rearrange them into the 3 of our schedules, because remember we've got evaluations and all those other things on our plates, we could not do enough rearranging to eliminate the position. But we feel that for 9 months, we would be willing to give it a shot and offer this out as a TOSA position. This would be very similar to what I did with Amy Dombeck. She is a TOSA. She is administrative in nature, but on the teacher's contract. The benefits are different, so there's a huge cost savings there. It's 184 days versus 225, huge savings there. The cost difference on the salary schedule is, close to another $10,000. With this allows us to get that special education teacher. I think it's possibly more work. Well, it is going to be more work for the 3 of us, especially Tim and Jen kind of taking someone under, but they will be technically under me. We're even looking at an office space in our office because it's so many district type things, district curriculum, district assessment, targeted services. Tim and Jen both are very good at discipline. They're both very talented at it, and for the numbers that they have in their buildings, we think that that's a good place for them to be. It would be my recommendation to move forward with this TOSA position. I can tell you we tried to remove the position completely. We just have too many students and too many things going on for that. A district our size, even with 3 principals, is low in numbers.
So this would require an administrative license or working towards?
Preferred. They have to have a
Preferred.
teaching
Oh.
license.
Okay.
This
so
could
it's
very
not-
easily be someone on staff.
It wouldn't have to be a principal position.
It's a great opportunity for someone to see if they like administration.
No. Go ahead.
That's just preferred.
When we started with the associate principal, that was by a grant by the state because of teacher evaluations.
Right, yeah.
And that was gonna be limited. Okay, and then now we've transitioned into, it's not a grant anymore, we just brought it in as a full position for us.
That is correct, but remember
We
when...
had one before.
We did. Remember when Janie Winchell was here and she was the district assessor, she was the DAC person and things like that? Those positions have all kind of morphed. We're not spending any more in administration, but you're right. That's good memory that we had that grant those 2 years.
Can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I can remember.
Remember that? Yeah. Those were some great years, and I think they thought, oh, we're adding this whole evaluation system on, we need to give more administrators.
But we cut an administrator at one time because we didn't have an assistant principal in the middle school.
That's true, yeah. And just those other kind of odd end positions that we had. So.
Does that work for you?
It does. Yep. This will be on the teachers. So we'll have to meet with them. If you want to move forward this way, if you like this idea, I'll ask to meet with them tomorrow.
We kind of know what we're going to get with the TOSA. What will we lose? What are some things that are valuable? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
for
is
sure.
it something that you want to assess a year from now and then see if you can get by with it? There's some things you're going to lose that you just.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this time of year, we would prefer to get another assistant principal. If this was June, this conversation would be completely different. There is something nice about if Tim is out of the building, or Jennifer, or I am, or anyone is out of the building, you've got one more administrator with a license. Jake is a very valuable member of our team, but he doesn't hold a principal license. He can't do suspensions. Very difficult to do discipline, things like that. So we like to have a licensed, we even put it on our agenda calendar, who's going to be out of the building what days. We want to make sure that we've got someone with that license. So you miss that.
Yeah.
You miss, it's nice when you have an administrative meeting, the conversations and some of the decisions that we made. You have to be kind of conscious about who can be there because of EA, like if you're talking negotiations or updates and things like that, you know, you lose some of that. But I also think this is a great opportunity to mentor someone that might be interested in administration and a great way to kind of grow our own. You talk about a lot of schools that have those programs and grow their own. I started out in one of those programs in South Washington County. Superintendent pulled me aside and said, hey, I know you're in teaching. I'd like you to be assistant principal, teacher on special assignment in Woodbury. And that really is kind of a kickstart to my career. So, guys, do you want to add anything? I don't want to do all the talking tonight. Principals? This was a hard decision for us, too.
Yeah. Having done it for 3 years, there is just what you can do as a principal is limited because of the other types of things that other body helps with. I was able to probably be in classrooms a lot more in the last few years with Mr. O'Keefe before and then Jennifer the last 2 years than I have, you know, since I started here. Just because I didn't have to worry about, you know, spending a large part of my day in the lunchroom doing lunch duty or discipline or anything like that. So the other piece of it too is when we're doing teacher evaluations and you know, it's hard to kind of convey the amount of time that takes when you want to be thorough and do a good job. And really our teacher evaluation model is very much a coaching model, which requires time with teachers sitting down and processing and reflecting on what was done in those observations, and having another person to help with those gives us more time with each of those teachers. So, you know, in essence, we're going to lose a third of that time by not having that person available this year. But you know, if DAC is something that they can do, if you know, the targeted services is something that we didn't have before we started with the associate principal position a few years ago. So that needs to go somewhere. I mean, that was one of the big things that the associate principal took on was targeted services. So that would be very difficult or impossible for us to do without having another person to help with those things.
Yeah, we certainly have tried since we found this out to wrote every option we could think of. We really did. There was just no way to move those duties around. It is a full-time position.
So the TOSA position would allow for that?
Correct. Yeah, that part comes off the plate, and that helps a ton.
So,
No, I'm sorry.
that's
Not
pretty
teacher
seamless.
evaluation, though.
They can't
No,
do.
teacher
they cannot.
evaluation would be us, but,
We would be able to do that
right.
and manage that if we had someone doing it.
Yeah, and Beth hasn't been doing that since we've had an associate principal, and Beth is gonna help with teacher evaluations this year. So that helps us, even if she's not able to do the number that Jennifer was doing as assistant principal, it still helps us have more time with those teachers to do those evaluations well.
I think because of the timing, this is the route to go. We will come back to you in March and give you a rundown of how we think it's going. Whoever decides to go in this position, it will be known it's a one-year position, just so we have time to reevaluate it, because I think at the end, we're gonna need to have a licensed administrator in that role, but this might work out really well too. And we could
Do
come
you
back
have
to
any,
it.
job title in mind?
TOSA. Just because it's so fun to say. I don't know, we'll talk
Not
to
to
you.
sound important.
Yeah, we'll, like Amy, kind of draft that position based on their skill set and some things that we come up. I need to talk to the EA, sometimes they have restrictions on what that can be called. Can't call them an assistant principal, really can't be even a dean of students. So we'll probably go back to, like when Jamie Winchell was here, some of those names, I don't remember what we used, but.
I'll make a motion to replace the assistant principal with the TOSA position.
Motion by Kurt,
I'll second.
second by Katie. Other discussion?
Just two things real quick. So really, the only difference is one less administrator in the buildings from your guys' perspective.
Licensed administrator, we'll have someone that's able to help us, but the limitations are gonna be a little bit there.
You guys can't all leave the building and leave that chair alone.
Right.
And at the end of the year, if it doesn't work out or we change direction, they go back into the teaching pool.
That is correct.
Okay.
Good point, good clarification.
And the 10-year thing, just, they've had a year regardless of what they are in the 10-year situation or the years of service.
As far as what it looks like from a teacher's standpoint, it's a year of experience as a teacher. So whether they're one of our current teachers that are tenured or somebody new coming in, it's a year of experience because they're still under the teacher contract.
Okay, anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sounds like a good option. A lot of work done with that, thank you. Consideration to approve mandatory revisions to policy 620 and 903.
Lori, were these in here?
No.
I put them at the bottom. I did put the link up on the agenda.
Oh.
That's in the shared document, not the PDF. I do have a hard copy in between you and Bob. There was a
Okay,
hard copy.
sounds great. Were you all able to review this ahead of time? These came to us kind of late from MSBA. 620 is the credit for learning. And if you have any specific questions, we can turn that over. But 903 is the visitors to school districts. The way MSBA sent it, it was kind of last minute, and they said this needs to be in place by the start of school. And maybe you saw that in your MSBA little highlights as well. So, we'll follow their recommendation because they kind of lead us in policy. We would have rather probably had a policy meeting or something on this, but came out just, what was it, Thursday?
I don't know.
It was after the agenda went out.
It's not here yet.
Well, then we got a letter on a different policy as well, one they're recommending we don't support as well. Like last week, that letter came out.
Oh, I didn't know that. Which one's that one?
It's about the transgender.
Oh,
bathroom.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and that one I haven't even brought forward.
Yeah.
Our organization's saying the same thing, so. It's good that they talk and are on the same page. So, my recommendation, I did read through these. The red kind of illustrates changes and things like that, but I would recommend moving forward with these.
Make a motion to accept the revised policy changes.
Motion by Rob,
I'll second.
seconded by Kurt. Any other discussion? All in favor of the mandatory revisions to 620 and 903, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval for family medical leave starting 8/29/17.
Remind me, Lori, I say name, nothing else, right? Yes, remind me.
Yes.
Okay. We have a family medical leave that will start tomorrow. The teacher came in, Cindy DeRozier, and told us that she will be on leave starting tomorrow for 6 weeks.
And this meets with our family medical
Yes,
leave
absolutely.
policy. So, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Brenda,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. Other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a van purchase.
Okay, on this side that says Nelson, this is the best one through the state buying program. The state buying program through SSC does all the bidding for us. They have approximately 100 people that they go out to dealerships that they bargain or go with. Believe it or not, Hastings beats the state bid by $100.
What year was the van made?
I know, we got the newest one we can get. They're the same. So the number on it will be 2017. And the reason why, if anyone's wondering why he's asking that question, you get 12 years with a van, and it doesn't matter when you bought it, it's when it was built. So these are both 2017, as you can see on here. So my recommendation would be to go with Hastings. They have always done a really nice job at giving it to us basically at cost, and that would be my recommendation. Even though it's 100, I like to go local as well.
Rob, you got an input? This is from transportation.
Nope. I would recommend what Beth recommends.
This is part of, we were gonna rotate and get a new one anyway, right?
Yeah, it was January, I think you were looking at.
I was hoping to wait till then.
But we still have to, because in January, that van will expire anyhow.
That's right.
So if our current student situation stays the same, we'll be buying a second one. Because we have no options.
We're gonna hope,
Yeah.
yes.
We have no
We're
options
gonna
with
hope
vans.
not.
They have-
Budgeted for one, we'll hope to get through
Yeah.
it.
Do you have a van out there that has a wheelchair lift access?
We have a bus.
Bus lift, okay.
The vans are different than buses. We can make buses stretch, but vans are date to date. That's why even though they're 17, we gotta make sure it's manufactured after January 1st. Even though if they put a 2017 year on it, was built in December, it ends in 2016.
He's right.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the van purchase.
Motion by Katie
Which one?
In Hastings.
to approve the Hastings van purchase.
I'll second.
Seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I have one item that I'm passing out. I just want to end on a very good note, and I know there's a lot of members here that are probably going to have good things to say, but I just want to end with our natural gas bill. Josh was nice enough to put this together. A lot of you have been asking about electricity and things like that, and this is just such a powerful statement, I think, to our community. You can tell right on here in FY16 when the new boilers were put in. I think it's pretty evident. I think Josh did a nice job of explaining in his email today. There's so many factors that can go in and out of this. Usage is one of them, but certainly the price of gas and all of that as well. So some of you had asked if Constellation was doing their job, kind of watching prices for us. I believe very strongly the answer is yes. Are we being conservative on the school end side of things? The answer is yes. And is overall price been good? And the answer is yes. So there's been a lot of things that have worked in our favor. Josh, do you have anything to add to it? This is just such great news. I wanted to make sure to share it with everyone because some of you have asked. And
You can see the first 4 years that are shown are with the old boilers from 62 and whatever they were. So you've got obviously the fact, how much gas is being put through the machines. With the energy project, obviously things are buttoned up better, so we're just more efficient that way. So how much of that variance from fiscal 16 to 17 is just Constellation would be hard to tell, but there definitely is a savings there. And I think if you look at the prior 4 years before the new boilers, you're looking at about $130,000 a year in gas. and the last 2 years on average about 85. I think that's pretty significant on both being more efficient and being a little bit more, buttoned up. Part of it too is fuel is less expensive than electricity right now, so there's usually a kind of balancing act with those two things. But how much of it is consolation, how much of it is the energy project? Not to say which is which, but I think the overall benefit is that it's reduced. I think that's the key.
They at one time thought they could save us 20 grand, and I think Jerry was the guy who brought up that with our new efficiencies, that probably wouldn't reach that. But gosh, even if it was 10, it's 10 in our pocket. So looks good. These numbers are incredible.
Yeah, they're better.
Keep
than
in
I ever
mind,
thought
you
they
know,
would be.
whenever something like this happens, you know, diesel, remember when it jumped to 5? Well, we were using less diesel, but it jumps. Similar things with electricity, as you've seen from your home bills. We're using a lot less electricity than we've ever used, but the cost per kilowatt is higher. So just stuff to keep in mind. It all sort of balances out.
And I don't know if we could get it, or if it'd be worth trying to get, but kilowattage and gallons would be, I don't know, LPs on gallons, or what, how do they measure?
Well,
At
and
least
that's, Constellation, that's
Yeah.
part of their contract is when we request that information, they have to get
I
it
think
for
it's
us.
between Constellation and UNESCO actually, they're
Yeah,
part of their
true.
ongoing bid
Mhm.
with their project to take care of that. But I mean, I can tell you, because we had a little sticker shock with the July electric bill, that you're paying about 50% more in electricity than we were a year ago. About 10%, or 10 cents per kilowatt hour last year to about almost 15 cents right now. So what's good news in one area is
Right.
bad news in another.
So I just thought we'd end with something really positive.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Thursday evening at 5:30 in here, we've got a special school board meeting. We've discussed whether it's a retreat or a workshop. I never know what it's called, but it's called something. So we'll meet here. And among our areas of conversation would be OPEB. We're coming near the end of our levy years. Right sizing for upcoming years, and our 17-18 superintendent goals.
Kurt, did we write number 2 right? That's the one that you brought up. Is that
Yep.
how you wanted it? Okay.
Yep.
And just to keep in mind that the Gophers play at 6 on TV, but that's of no consequence to anybody but me, I'm sure.
Football.
Just to
You
mention
picked
real
that
quick
now.
too,
TV right
there've been
there.
some questions with the OPEB. So Hildy does our actuarial studies, and they're very familiar with our OPEB needs and requirements and what goes on. And a representative from them will be here on Thursday. And if you have any questions at all, more than the expert on it, on that. So
They are
she can
both.
answer whatever you would have at that time, and really give a good picture of where we're at, what we need to plan for. So.
We told her 15, 20 minutes, but we thought better to just hear it from the exact person. That way you can ask all your questions, and it's not Josh and I kind of throwing it at you.
Okay. So we'll meet here, and lunch will be served, I guess, huh? Thank you.
Correct.
Are you cooking?
Cooking Dudley's pizza?
What?
What are you cooking, Dudley's pizza? or
No.
I've been told you are the cook.
Okay, our next meeting is September 11th, and again, that was that inserted meeting, if you will. So, I'll leave it up to the group here to decide whether it's necessary on that particular night, and be in touch. Lastly, board members, anything for the cause, board members?
Good luck with the start of school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's been such an easy to go at it right now.
And the same to you?
Good luck to
It's,
everyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
good
have a
luck.
great year. Or first week, I should say.
Okay, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jerry,
I'll say.
seconded by Kurt. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are closed.